Welcome to Emerson Fittipaldi in the Selected Car Group.
Thank you.
And we're in the Selected Car Collection, and we've talked a bit about cars, and I sense you have the same sort of passion as we do.
Yes.
And stories abundant. Of course, you've driven the best Formula One cars of the period, Lotus 72 and the McLaren M23, and everything else in between. But how did you know you wanted to become a race driver?
Well, it's a good question. My father was a motor race journalist, and I remember when I was 5, I went to Interlagos, and I looked at a race car going by. I said, one day I want to be a racing driver. That's how I started my motivation since I was small. First time I saw a race car, I said, that's what I want to do. And in Brazil, that time, there was like not many motor race was not very popular. Was a group of little people, small people, that could have Grand Prix cars, was Grand Prix cars. And we had one Brazilian driver who was the first driver for Ferrari, called Kiko Landi. And he was my mentor. And then Fangio, the big Fangio, was friend of my father, and he was one of my mentors. And then he followed my career. For us in Latin America was Fangio, this Brazilian driver, Fangio, and then Hermanos Rodrigues, Pedro and Ricardo Rodrigues.
Of the sports car.
Yes, and Formula One.
Yeah,
and they drove. I raced 2 years with Pedro Rodrigues.
Also one of them.
Yes, for us Latin America, they were our idols. And then in Europe, for sure, when they start the time of Jim Clark, Jack Stewart, the British drivers coming, suddenly start winning everything.
Yeah.
It was very interesting, very interesting.
So you sort of had it in your blood, but maybe a lot of people have that. But you had the difference that you actually were very fast. When did you realize that you had that special thing?
When I started driving Brazil, from karting to the prototype I built, I was normally fast, but I had no comparison to the European drivers to come in Europe and race. And we were racing only national race in Brazil. And then when I come to England in 1969 with Formula 4, that was very popular, very low cost to start. And then was my first race was Zandvoort in 1969. Yeah.
All the legendary tracks. You've been at them all. And now you're in Denmark to make this history repeat itself, because you're here because of the next generation of Fittipaldi racing drivers.
You know, it's interesting because my youngest son really I have 3 boys. The oldest one, they like cars, they like racing, but they never want to drive. They drove one day go-kart and they stopped. I never asked to go back. And the Emmo is my youngest one, since 5 years old. Dad, I want to race. And now they start the go-kart. He was born in America. In America, some drivers, I'm sure here, they start karting 3, 4 years old. Just walk and then drive a kart. Yeah. Yeah. And the new generation, it's great to be here in Denmark because it's allowed 14 years old. It's the only country in Europe. He's going to race with Noah. We're put like a Formula 4 team together. Yeah. We're going to race Padborg, very close to here.
Which we know very, very well.
And I'm here looking at this incredible, fantastic collection. Congratulations, very impressive. Very, very impressive. I see collections all over the world, but this is very impressive.
Thank you very much. And I hope it can be inspiration to the boys. As I said, they'll need somewhere to put their prize-winning money. But do you think it's more difficult now than when you started out? Because now racing is more of a business, big business.
Racing always been difficult, but now with technology, these kids, they start learning so early. Telemetry. They have already telemetry in karting. They can measure every centimeter of the track, where you're turning the steering wheel, how you're braking. And on my time, it was more instinct and feeling the car. You have to feel the car on the seat. You know, the car, try to tell the team manager. And now they have all this very good analytics in one lap, and I think it's fantastic. But they have to learn how to analyze. And then they go out of the race car, they have all these numbers, they go into the telemetry, they see exactly how he's doing against the teammates, and then they have to learn this and go back to the track and try to improve.
Yeah.
It's so much information, you know, so much, sometimes too much information. You have to analyze. Yeah. Because if not, you go crazy. There's so much information now from the race car.
That's what I thought would be very different from when you raced. You had a special relationship with one of the great constructors, Colin Chapman.
Yes.
You didn't quite work that way with telemetry.
Colin was incredible because after practice, normally we go for dinner with Colin, and then he said, Emerson, tell me how the car was in every corner. And then I'd go, you know, braking, turning to the corner, mid-corner, exit, and he put the two fingers here, start thinking, I know what I'm going to do. You go next day to the track, you went to the paddock, change the car. It was much better. He had this natural intuition, and, you know, instinct, how to set up a car. Yeah. He was he was my mentor for 4 years. I learned so much of Colin.
Yeah, and it gave you your first world championship.
Yes. And was a lot of learning. And for sure, you know, looking back of Lotus, the history of Lotus with, you know, Jim Clark, Jochen Rindt, so incredible driver. And then suddenly I was there driving. First time I meet Colin Chapman. He called me end of '69 to drive. In 1 year, he wanted me to drive Formula One. I went to his office, my legs are shaking. And I said, I'm in front of Colin Chapman. And I say, Mr. Chapman. He said, no, call me Colin. Okay, Colin. My legs are shaking. I'm in front of Colin Chapman, you know. It was an incredible feeling.
And that was a very special team, very closely knitted together. But then you changed to another great team, the McLaren.
Yes.
What was the difference between those two British teams, both successful?
McLaren had a very good car, but never won the World Championship. And then Philip Morris, I was living in Lausanne in Switzerland, and Philip Morris say, Emerson, you go and choose the team for us. It was a big task for me, because I went to Bernie, Brabant. Bernie Ecclestone had the Brabant team. Ken Tiro, Jack Stewart just retired, and then I could have Ken Tiro. That was a beautiful team. And then I went to McLaren. McLaren was small, but very well organized. Teddy Mayer was an American lawyer who loves racing. There was like an American organization into a New Zealand enthusiast. Most of the mechanics are New Zealand. They are committed to succeed. You could feel the good energy with McLaren. And then was a big move to, Colin didn't want me to leave. I said, Colin, we had a great 4 years, thank you, but now I'm going to go to a new team, a new challenge in my life. And it was great to work. Lotus had incredible cars, but McLaren was more logistic, well planning. They are designing like, now we go to racing. Brands Hatch, we need a new suspension, new rear geometry, a new wheelbase. McLaren was always thinking ahead, how to be competitive on every track. But Lotus 72 was a magic car.
Yeah. One of the most successful Formula One cars.
To me, it was my best car ever. They ask you, what's your best car I drove? To me, I arrive at the paddock, I look, the car looks to me, I look, we got together, and we knew each other.
Yeah, yeah. And you had one championship and one championship runner-up.
Yes.
Or was it two even? It was a very successful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the car to drive was a fantastic car.
Yeah. What do you think today when you see those cars? Because they are still active in historic motor racing.
Yes.
Do you enjoy watching your old race cars?
I enjoy watching and driving. And I drove the Lotus 72 last year, chassis number 5 is the chassis that I won in Monza, the World Championship. And then I had in 1973 huge crash Zandvoort. And the car was rebuilt to last year. It was a Lotus Classic of Colin Chapman on the garage. It took nearly 50 years to rebuild the car. And then I'm driving again. It was very emotional for me to go back to that car. And now I'm going, he's rebuilding the turbine car, the Lotus turbine that I race in Monza. And I hope this year, next year, be running again.
We're touching upon a subject that also makes you a very special Formula One driver and a special driver, because you always had a little bit of constructor in you as well, and did your own cars right from the beginning.
First, I built my own karting in Brazil. I had a factory to sponsor myself. I was building karting, and then I could sell and pay my racing. And then when Volkswagen launched a Formula V, I built with my brother Wilson Formula V. I was racing and selling the Formula V to other drivers.
And winning.
And winning, and then I built the Fittipaldi Porsche. Was the fastest car in Brazil at that time. We broke the lap record of Interlagos, and I loved to build my brother too. And then we had our own Formula One team, who our last year I had, because the Formula One team is the people who is in the team makes the car. And I was so lucky. In '98, I had Keke Rosberg.
He became a world champion later in '82.
And then I had the first project for Adrian Newey with Harvey Posthwaite was the chief design. Adrian Newey was the junior design.
It's amazing the names you've been working
And Peter
with.
Ward, the team manager, who was a team manager for Lotus. And we got this group of people. It was fantastic, and was the best car I ever built. But then I didn't have a sponsor to continue. The Skol Brazil they want to stop, and that was it.
Before you stepped out of Formula One, you did have the pleasure of driving against Gilles Villeneuve. We were in his company car later on. That was one of the few connections I could find in our collection. But how was he? He was a very different driver to you. You were very cool and calm and planted, and he was.
Gilles was an incredible driver. Always, I would say, was a driver 110%.
Yeah, not 100.
105% was not enough. He was always 110%. And he was a great guy. You know, just coming like that from Formula B in Canada, he started winning, and then on the first test he was doing Formula One. I was running McLaren. I was running my car. I think it was 97, 78, I think he started around this year.
He probably tested in 77.
Yes, and I remember he spun 7 times in 1 hour in Silverstone, who is a very fast track.
That is a record you don't really want.
No, but showing how much aggressive he was and how much confidence he had. Because you have to have confidence and learning and running. And he was incredible fast driver, you know, spectacular driver for the public, for the fans. I know Commendatore always had a special place for Gilles, because Gilles would take the Ferrari beyond the limit. You know, and that's great to see.
He probably did with his company's car as well, but it is sort of
and that's
now. So
we sit down on his car. I would like to go back in history. If we could have a secret camera, when you mention Gilles coming from Monaco to Maranello, I would like to see what he was doing with that car here. You know, it would be interesting to see
in that car,
how he was going to drive through traffic.
I'm not sure it would be suitable for showing on a camera, actually. Not today, at least. But you had told me a story about your own company car as you were with Lotus. And Lotus is sort of famous for not always being the perfect car. Can I say that?
Sure, there was.
Your perfect car. That must have been a company car.
The Plus 2 was a great car to drive. Very fast, very fun to drive, always very light, but they had always, you know, develop problems to develop a car against like the German cars, any German car, before going to the street, they have, I don't know, 200,000 kilometers of developed testing, make sure when the car is on the dealer is okay. And then even, you know, Ferrari at one time from, you know, before Luca Montezemolo, I would say that Lotus was similar. Every owner of a Lotus Ferrari at that time was a test driver for the factory.
Yeah. part of the development program.
And then you call the factory, my car is having this problem, you know. Yeah. I had electrical problem with my Lotus, and they couldn't find. I sent to the dealer in Geneva, and then I had to have a special parking at the airport, because every time during the night the battery would go off. And when I went to the Grand Prix on Thursday, I went to the last floor of Geneva Airport, next to the ramp, because I knew coming back Sunday, I would turn the key, and the typical click, 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 you know, this noise. And then I had to open the door, runs onto the ramp, he started and go home, and it was beautiful.
And that was a time when you were actually Formula One champion and your company car wouldn't start.
Well, it was fun.
I think that
was
be
fun.
Rather unacceptable for a driver today.
But it was fun to drive. I remember I tested one Daytona for Quattro Ruote in Italy. Mm-hmm. And they took the car to Switzerland. Every month I would write about a GT car. Yeah. For 3 years in Quattro Ruote, famous Italian magazine. And then I'm driving this Daytona, brand new, they bring from Ferrari, on a little road in Switzerland, going downhill. And after 3-4 corners, I brake, no brake. I nearly crashed because the brakes got too hot. Yeah. You know. And then I wrote, and then guess who called me?
Mr. Enzo Ferrari.
Il commendatore Ferrari. Fittipaldi, ma che è successo con la mia macchina? I said, sorry, commendatore, I run out of brakes. Ma impossible, impossibile fare questo. I show to you again, bring me the car. He was very upset, but I have to write what's reality. And it was fun, you know, I had fun, and I mean, Ferrari is incredible history, you know, yes. Ferrari is Ferrari. Yeah. Yeah, I always say, Formula One with no Ferrari is a different Formula One.
Yes.
The championship.
And in many ways the same for the road cars. And we spoke about the Pininfarina design, but actually Ferrari has left the Pininfarina connection behind, but you picked it up because you're not finished with playing with cars and developing cars. What's your newest project in short?
I'm making a full carbon fiber car, hypercar, full electrical. I know that many of the historical people don't like electrical, but that's the future. It'll be a lot of fun to drive. It'll be very fast with nearly 1,800 horsepower, 4 engines, and beautiful Italian design. And the car will be finished in Italy for sure, because at this level of, you know, sports car, high performance car, I think not just the design, but the finish of the car, the labor. You know, if you get the craftsmanship in Italy is fantastic. For the steering wheel, the seats, everything, the paint. Challenge of my life now to build a hypercar. I'm working the last 3-4 years. You know, I always say in life, it doesn't matter how old are you, but you always have to have a new challenge. A man is like a bicycle of 2 wheels. If you stop pedaling, you crash. Even if you pedal slow, but keep pedaling. Never stop a bicycle. And that's my life. And now I have this challenge. I'm working harder to make this project. I love cars, as you can see, all my life. And
I'm not in doubt.
And I always say, I will be the David against the Goliath. Here's all the Goliaths. I'm the little guy starting now against the Goliaths, you know. But that's life, and it's a challenge for me. Yeah. And I have good people behind, you know, very good team, very good design. Fabio Filippini's design. And he was the ex-chief designer for Pininfarina. Yeah. He lives in Tokyo now, and he's I hope it'll be like a beautiful looking car.
From the sketches,
and fun to drive.
Yeah, from the sketches, it certainly looks like it's going to be beautiful and a big challenge.
And you know, another thing interesting, my boy loves electrical cars. For us it's difficult, but I drove the Spanish Suiza. It's a beautiful car built in Spain. And so much energy, the electrical engine, the gearbox, and inside the cockpit makes it's a different noise, but it's the future. Yeah. I like it. You know, in the cockpit, it's fun to drive the electrical car.
You still like power?
Oh yes, for sure.
Yeah, your passion is very clear for us, Mr. Emerson Fittipaldi.
No, Emerson, please, not
Emerson,
Mr. Claus, please. Emerson.
It's been a pleasure having you here at Selected Car Group. I think we share this car passion, and we are looking very much forward to the next project.
And again, congratulations for this incredible place, incredible collection.
Thanks.
And this is the passion for cars is here. I can feel, you know, just walking here.
We say a common thanks to our owner.
Incredible. Congratulations.
Thanks for having you here.
Thank you.
Bye.